Hi everyone, it's Taylor Castro. I don't really know how I'm going to organize this video. It's kind of weird talking to a camera in my apartment. I haven't talked to a camera in a long time, but nevertheless, it's a video I've been meaning to make for a while, and I'm sorry if my bird Dewey is in the background throughout the video. I know that it gets pretty loud, especially with audio recording, but he's just going to chill there anyway. So primarily I wanted to make this video to talk about my upcoming music, but the thing is that my upcoming music, it's tied to a lot of other things, predominantly a mental illness that I'm going to spend the majority of this video talking about. And I made a list. What I want to talk about in this video is, okay, that mental illness and what it is, my experience with it, how my new music deals with it, and why my new music deals with it. So let's do that. I was diagnosed with OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, in 4th grade, so about 10 years old. And OCD is kind of a pop culture word, but that's part of the problem, is that it's extremely misunderstood, and that OCD is, I mean, depending on your level of it, extremely disabling. And mine, I would say, is kind of medium intensity. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more. And what it is basically in my head, or in a person's head who has OCD, they have certain fears. Basically, think of someone threatening to, do the worst thing that you could possibly imagine them doing. And what OCD is that person, but it's in your head. And they're saying, do your obsessive compulsions, or this will happen. And sometimes those obsessive compulsions might be flickering a light switch on and off in 2 sets of 4, or putting something in the exact right position, or sorting out colors. And the people who do this, they understand that it's not logical necessarily, and that odds are that even if they don't do the thing, it's going to be okay, but there's this sickening feeling when they don't do it, and the truth is that it's not really worth it in their mind. The peace of not doing the thing isn't worth the risk that your mind is telling you it is. You know what I mean? And that's what I have. So I have OCD. I was diagnosed with in 4th grade after basically getting all honors classes in 3rd grade, and then getting super stressed in 4th grade. So it started with stress from school, and my parents started noticing me doing things like this, like touching my chin to my chest, or doing these like gulping sounds. And every time I would walk by walls, I would have to touch them, and I would have to put doors at certain angles. Like I said, turn the lights on and off, that was one of them, and all these different things. And what happens is that the more you do it, the worse your mind gets, the more it tells you will happen, the deeper hole you dig for yourself, basically. And that's what I was doing, and it got very, very bad. I was put in special needs classes, even though I was quite smart. I am quite smart. And it's just a disability I've dealt with since then. But it's gone through fluctuations. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's worse. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Pure in this next part, and my debut album, which was received so well, which is part of why I'm making this video, because I want to explain why this next era of music, my second album that I'm going to talk about, it's going to be so different from what you may be used to if you listen to my music, because it is just not as positive. And I'm going to explain why, because I don't want anyone to think that I don't completely 100% believe with everything I said in Pure, because I do. But I'm going to explain why these songs are going to be quite less bright and sunshiny than my debut album. So I wrote Pure at a time in my life when I was really trying to overcompensate for just having had a worse time in my life, or not even worse, kind of worse, but just not being in a good place as a person, not being the type of person my younger self would be proud of, I guess you could say, not being very connected to my younger self enough. I think I've always had like a root of this is who I am, but I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. I never really felt understood, and I was trying to love, but I didn't know how, and because of that I was changing myself for it way too much, more than anyone should have to for love. And I was so repulsed by that version of myself, and just everything that era stood for, that I wanted to completely 360 or whatever, 180, I don't know, and become exactly opposite. And I still feel connected to that person who became exactly opposite. I still feel like that's, like, I haven't changed since then. That's still who I am now. But as the years pass, I'm able to see more clearly why I did that, and, you know, what was going on inside of me more than I could then. But like I said, it's still the same person, and everything I believed then, all of the, you know, things I set for myself, that's still in place. I just have a different perspective on it slightly. You know, everything's kind of becoming less extreme and more loose. I don't know. You know what I mean. But anyway, when I was writing Pure, I was overcompensating for that time in my life rather than actually writing about that time in my life, because I didn't want to think about it. And I just wanted to focus on the good things. And also I became Christian. So that was something that happened to me when I was 16, and becoming Christian, which is a whole story in itself. That really helped me with my OCD, because faith really just completely diminishes any belief that OCD puts in your mind. And I was so close to God at that point in my life, and it was beautiful. And of course, I still have extreme faith, but that at that point in my life, it was just so strong. And the truth is that I feel like I need more of that again, which is part of why I decided to film this video right now. But I'll get into that later. But of course, I have extreme faith. I'm Christian now, and that was something that happened then. And all of that kind of went in to creating Pure. But when it was out, and I took a step back, and I listened to the song straight through, I was proud. But I realized that they completely lacked empathy towards the type of person that I was in darker moments. I was still going through hardships during that time, or the person I was just before then. And that lacking empathy was quite possibly the worst thing I could have ever done if I was actually trying to help anyone. So that's kind of the starting off point for this new era, which is going to be called, or my new album is going to be called Girl Afraid. I wrote Girl Afraid over a year ago, like a year and a half ago. The second I wrote it, I knew that was going to be the title track. And it's centered around my biggest struggle, which is my fear, which is related to my obsessive compulsive disorder that we were talking about earlier. And the idea of creating an entire album centered around that struggle I go through, and that so many other people probably go through. is that you can't get rid of an issue. You can't make someone feel better if they feel like they're being denied their humanity. You know, being afraid is human nature. It's built into our DNA. Some could even argue that it's a good thing. But when it gets to the point of where it is with me and where I've been recently and what I'm trying so hard to get out of, literally all the time, which includes writing these songs and just getting it out on paper, which is trying to like just filter it out. I don't remember where that sentence started. But anyway, that's human. And it's also extremely dangerous to be afraid, ironically. It's supposed to keep you from fear. I mean, it's supposed to keep you from danger, but it causes so much more chaos inside of you and with your mental health. And the thing is that I felt like maybe if I put this in a song, in an album, then the people who are also dealing with it will feel heard and understood. And I think that that's the first step in healing, is addressing the problem. It's like a spider in the room. You can just ignore it and the spider builds a family, or you can say, all right, there's a spider, I see the spider, get the glass jar and put it outside. You know what I mean? And that spider is fear. And in order to get rid of it, we need to talk about it. And it's definitely relevant in my life. So that's the idea behind Girl Afraid. And I hope that that means something to literally anyone besides me. But if not, I mean, at least I know it means something to me. And I'm so excited about it. And just, there's so many allegories that are used to describe certain situations and also social anxiety, things like that. And it's really so personal. And I hope that it's not perceived as negative, and definitely not romanticizing any sort of mental illness at all. That's important. It's meant to get rid of it. And that's where we're going to eventually go in the upcoming music, is to understand, all right, we've got the ideal version of life. We've got the darkest version of life. And now what is life? And what does it mean to be human? And to be happy and to be afraid and to have faith and love and hope. And that's where we're headed. So I have 2% on my camera. If you're going through anything I'm going, then you're okay. You'll be fine. And I hope you like my music. I have a feeling you might. But I don't know. Okay. Bye.